Hello everyone, this is James Shore with another test-driven JavaScript video. I'm recording this on March 25th, 2013, and we're picking up right where we left off in the last episode. What we're working on here is cleanup and abstraction of our WeWikiPaint client-side front-end code. And in the last episode, we had just finished moving our multi-touch event creation functions into our DOM element abstraction. And it's looking really good. I'm liking this code a lot. It is fairly long, but most of it is just forwarding information on, providing convenience methods on top of more sophisticated methods down here. And those are not that complicated. I think our complexity is nicely contained. And our tests still read really nicely. Some of them are a little bit, it looks like it looks like WebStorm might have removed some of our spacing, so that could use a little cleanup. But overall, I think it's still looking really good, and we're getting rid of all the complex event creation stuff that was making it hard to read before. I think we're getting really close to done with this abstraction pass. We still need to get rid of this old drawing area variable that's no longer relevant. It represents a jQuery element, and now we're using DOM element for our main abstraction. So that's what I want to finish in this episode. I want to get rid of old drawing area and finish really abstracting all uses of jQuery into DOM element. And as part of that, I think we're going to want to have the constructor take the DOM element, not the jQuery element, or maybe even just create a constructor that will handle this. Actually, though, before we start doing that, it may be time to test DOM element. I think before we start adding more features to DOM element, let's start moving our tests over. And this could be a little complicated. Let's see how it goes. I think, though, what we can do is we can use the event creation and the event handlers to test each other. And that should be pretty straightforward if that's what we do. Let's go ahead and bring up our tests. Just make sure everything works here. Okay, that obviously should fail. Let's make sure it does. Yeah, good. That means these tests are running. All right, what do we want to do? We want to describe DOM element. And it should, well, let's describe DOM element event handling, or event handlers. Yeah, let's do it in multiple pieces. We'll do event handlers. And the event handlers, it should, or really just does, handle select start. And I think the way we can test this is we can say, let's see, we'll need a DOM element. Yeah, let's see. Before we'll want the DOM element to be a new DOM element that takes a jQuery element. And just pass in a div. Make sure this is still all running. We've got our globals again. Good. Okay, good. So now we should be able to say DOM element.onSelectStart, i.e. only. Our test has passed. And we should assert we expect our test passed to be true. Of course, that's going to fail because we don't trigger the select start. But now we should be able to say DOM element dot do select start. And actually, yeah, we're not passing in a function. We'll just say do select start. The location doesn't matter. And that should go through. Excellent. But actually, the location does matter. We need this to pass us our relative x and relative y back. So we can do this, say actual offset equals offset, or let's rename this to passed in offset, and this to, let's see, no, let's call this event offset, and we'll expect our event offset to equal x 0 and y 0. And that should pass. Yes, and if we change this to 4213, that should fail. Yes, expected 4213 to equal 0, 0. All right, there's the seed of our event handler function. And event handlers handle select start, and they also handle what's next, mouse down. Do the exact same thing. Except now we want to say on mouse down. And do mouse down. Perfect. Yes, okay, that is working great. Let's ramp this up a bit. This is obviously all duplicated code. So what we really want to do is say, want to factor this out somehow. Test event, perhaps. Test event should take the on event, or the event creator, the event sender, and the event handler. And I'm thinking the event sender is DOM element dot on select start, i.e. it only, and the event handler is DOM element dot do select start. The problem with that is that it's not going to pass in the right this when we call it, I don't think. So if we say event sender here, and event handler here, it won't give us the right thing. Yeah. So we can either call it with the appropriate this, or we can pass in strings and say something like this, DOM element dot on select start, i.e. it only, and then pass the function through like that. That, I believe, would work. Except lint doesn't like it. But other than that, it would work. So we'd make this event sender like this, and pass it in like that. Yeah. I think I like that better, actually. Let's do that. So what's happening here is that in JavaScript, the dot notation and the bracket notation with a string are essentially doing the same thing. So that gives us a bit of metaprogramming opportunity. Great. Okay, so there, you can also say on mouse down. Now the problem with this approach is that as we refactor namings, if we change the names, then these strings may or may not come along for the ride. So it's sort of a wash as to which way is better. And because of that, I think we might be better off using the call approach. So the problem with what we had before was that by passing this function, we're losing the this. The correct this value of DOM element is only passed through when you call a function using the dot notation. If you reference a function using the dot notation, then you lose your this. It's kind of a wacky little thing about JavaScript. So in order to resolve that, what we have to say is, believe it would be event sender.call DOM element, like that. I don't use call very often because I try to avoid metaprogramming actually. But I believe that will work the same way. And let's comment that out for the moment. Yeah, I think I like this approach better because I believe that it will refactor better, that we'll be able to see WebStorm handle the refactorings better when we need them. So it's a little bit more complicated, but it is fairly idiomatic. That is, it's a standard way of doing things in JavaScript, and I think it will be reasonably understandable. Okay, let's go ahead and do the rest of these. We need mouse move, mouse leave, and mouse up. Move, leave, up. Those should all work. Good. Touch start, move, end, and cancel. Start, move, end, cancel. Oops. We messed something up somewhere. Do single touch start, move, end, and cancel. Single touch start, move, end, and cancel. Single touch start, move, end, and cancel. That should have worked, but it fails on one of them. Which one does it fail on? Cancel? No, it just fails on the oh! It's failing everywhere except Safari, of course. Well, let's punt on these. Let's call this handle mouse events. And then we'll need a it. There, it handles mouse events. It handles touch events. And that we will have to pick up with next time because we are pretty much out of time. Okay, so what we've done here is we're starting to get tests in on our DOM element, and we're doing some kind of funky stuff with metaprogramming so we don't have to do all the same code over and over again, which makes this nice and clean. There's a flaw in expect in that we can't say which event we're testing, and that makes things a little uglier in terms of when the errors show up, but I like the compactness so much I'm okay with that. Next time what we're going to do is we're going to finish testing DOM element.js, focusing on getting mouse events under test. We'll also need to test DOM element positioning although you can kind of say that's working. And we will finish getting rid of old drawing area. So that's it for this time. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. I will catch you next time.